Beamy Liam, 29, software developer at a mid-sized tech company. Pretty good gig, solid pay, decent people. Work is challenging enough to keep me from turning into a complete vegetable. Our team is a mixed bag, a few seasoned guys, some fresh out of college kids, and a couple of really sharp women. My closest work friend is Chloe. She's a data analyst, smart as a whip and has a bullshit detector that's second to none. We've been through a few project trenches together, solid bond. Our manager David is a classic middle management type. Means well, wants to be seen as a progressive leader, but folds faster than a cheap suit under pressure. Basically, a normal office environment, or so I thought. One Tuesday morning, we all get a company-wide email. Subject: announcing our new mandatory diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative grown.jpg. Another round of corporate re-education. Usually it's just a boring slideshow about not being a jerk, which is fine, whatever, but this one feels different. The email talks about a paradigm-shifting approach and a renowned external DEI consultant named Evelyn Reed. Sounds fancy. David calls a team meeting to hype it up. Guys, this is going to be fantastic, he says, beaming like he just invented sliced bread. Evelyn is a real thought leader in this space. This is going to help us build a truly inclusive and innovative culture. We all nod along, sipping our lukewarm coffee, pretending to be thrilled. Chloe catches my eye from across the table and gives me a subtle eye roll. I stifle a laugh. The first session is scheduled for the following week. Mandatory, of course. The day arrives, we all file into the main conference room. Evelyn Reed is standing at the front. She's probably in her late 30s, dressed in a sharp, minimalist pantsuit, projects an aura of unshakable confidence. She starts with some icebreakers that make everyone feel equally awkward, then she launches into her presentation. It's a fire hose of corporate buzzwords: intersectionality, privilege, unconscious bias, emotional labor, lived experience. It's a little much, but nothing too out of the ordinary for these kinds of things. I'm mostly just trying to stay awake, but then she gets to the core of her program. She calls it the identity point system. My ears perk up. This is new. To truly foster equity, Evelyn explains, her voice smooth and authoritative, we first need to quantify the invisible forces that shape our workplace dynamics. We need to understand our individual positions on the privilege spectrum. She clicks to the next slide. It's a chart, a very, very detailed chart. At the top, with the highest point value, is white, cisgender, heterosexual, able-bodied, neurotypical male. That's the baseline, she says. From there, points are subtracted for various identity markers. Being female, minus 10 points, person of color, minus 15, LGBTQ+, minus 10, disabled, minus 20, and so on. There are categories for socioeconomic background, religion, first-generation immigrant status, everything. The goal, she says, is to get the lowest score possible. A lower score means you are more marginalized and therefore your voice carries more weight. The room is dead silent. You can feel the air get thick with discomfort. I glance around. The older guys look confused, like they're trying to solve a complex math problem in their heads. The younger guys just look scared. Even Chloe, who is a black woman, has a deep frown on her face. This isn't just a slideshow about being nice to each other. This is something else entirely. Evelyn hands out worksheets. Now I want everyone to take a few minutes to calculate their own identity score, she says cheerfully, as if she's just announced a free pizza party. Be honest with yourselves. This is a tool for self-reflection. I stare at the paper. It feels gross, like I'm filling out a character sheet for a dystopian role-playing game. I'm a white male, straight, able-bodied. My score is going to be sky high. I can feel a knot tightening in my stomach. This can't be real. I look over at Chloe. She's just staring at the sheet, not writing anything down. Her expression is unreadable. After a few excruciatingly long minutes, Evelyn asks people to share their scores. No one volunteers. The silence is deafening. Evelyn's smile tightens just a little. It's okay to be vulnerable, she coaxes. Finally, a young woman from marketing, Sarah, who is a recent immigrant, hesitantly raises her hand. She shares her score, which is quite low. Evelyn praises her for her bravery and authenticity. Thank you for sharing your lived experience, Sarah, Evelyn says, beaming. Your perspective is incredibly valuable to this organization. Sarah just looks embarrassed. The rest of the session is a blur of awkward, stilted conversation. When it's finally over, we all file out of the room like we've just survived a natural disaster. No one is making eye contact. Chloe and I walk back to our desks together. What the hell was that? I mutter, keeping my voice low. She shakes her head, her lips pressed into a thin line. I don't know, Liam, I really don't know. It's like she's trying to turn us all into a collection of stats, not people. Exactly, Chloe says, her voice barely a whisper. She's putting us in boxes, and I've spent my whole life fighting to get out of boxes. We don't say much more about it that day. There's a sense of dread hanging over the office. Everyone is walking on eggshells. The next day, David announces that we'll be implementing the identity point system in our team meetings. To ensure we're elevating marginalized voices, he explains, reading directly from a script Evelyn clearly gave him. We'll be using a progressive stack. Those with lower scores will be given the floor first. My heart sinks. He's actually going through with it. The first meeting under the new regime is a nightmare. David has a list with everyone's name and their score next to it. He calls on people in ascending order of points. It's so incredibly awkward. An idea isn't judged on its merit anymore, but on the identity of the person who said it. I have a pretty high score, so I'm one of the last to be called on. By the time it's my turn, the conversation has already moved on and my input is basically irrelevant. This happens again and again. My ideas and the ideas of the other high-scoring guys are effectively silenced. It's maddening. I'm not an idiot, I know I have blind spots, but I'm also a good developer with over 7 years of experience. My contributions have value, but now they're being dismissed before I even get a chance to make them. The atmosphere on the team starts to sour. The system is creating resentment and division. The low-score employees are put in an awkward position, feeling like they have to perform their marginalization to be heard. The high-score employees are frustrated and demoralized, feeling like they're being punished for things they can't control. It's not fostering inclusion, it's building walls between us. Chloe is one of the first to be called on in meetings now, but I can see she hates it. She's a private person, and she doesn't like being singled out like that. One afternoon, she and I are grabbing coffee. This is so messed up, she says, stirring her latte with more force than necessary. David keeps asking me to share my perspective as a woman of color. I'm a data analyst, not a DEI mascot. My perspective is that the database migration is going to be a nightmare if we don't allocate more resources to it. I nod in agreement. He's not listening to what you're saying, he's just listening to who he thinks you are. Exactly, she says, her eyes flashing with frustration. This whole system is based on the assumption that people in certain groups can't have bad ideas, and people in other groups can't have good ones. It's insane. The tipping point comes during a critical project planning meeting. We're working on a major new feature, and there's a debate about the best way to architect the back end. I, along with Mark, another senior developer who also has a high identity score, have designed a solution that is robust, scalable, and secure. We've spent weeks on it, and we're confident it's the right approach. But then, a junior developer named Maya speaks up. Maya is a sweet kid, but she's fresh out of a coding boot camp and has very little real-world experience. She has a very low identity score. She proposes an alternative solution that is, to be blunt, a technical mess. It uses a trendy but unproven technology that isn't a good fit for our needs, and it has some major security vulnerabilities. Normally, we would gently explain the flaws in her approach and use it as a teaching moment. But this isn't a normal situation. David, ever the dutiful follower of Evelyn's doctrine, immediately latches onto Maya's idea. Thank you, Maya, for sharing that, he says, nodding enthusiastically. It's so important that we listen to fresh perspectives. Mark and I try to interject. David, I say, trying to keep my voice calm, with all due respect, Maya's approach has some serious drawbacks. The technology she's suggesting isn't mature enough for a production environment, and there are significant security risks. David just waves his hand dismissively. Liam, we need to be open to new ways of thinking, he says with a patronizing tone. We can't just keep doing things the way we've always done them. He's not even listening to the technical arguments. He's just looking at the identity scores. Maya's idea is good because she has a low score. Our idea is bad because we have high scores. It's that simple and that stupid. I can see the look of panic in Maya's eyes. She knows she's in over her head. She didn't expect her half-baked idea to actually be chosen. But David is adamant. He makes the final call. We're going with Maya's plan. Mark and I just stare at each other in disbelief. The project is doomed. The fallout is immediate and catastrophic. Within a week, it becomes clear that Maya's approach is a disaster. The codebase is a buggy, unmaintainable mess. We're missing deadlines and the feature is nowhere near ready for launch. The team's morale plummets. Everyone is stressed and overworked trying to salvage the project. Maya is in tears most days, completely overwhelmed. It's not her fault she was put in an impossible position. The fault lies with David and with Evelyn's toxic system. That's when I know I have to do something. I can't just sit back and watch this company and my team tear itself apart. I start talking to people quietly at first. I start with Mark, who is just as furious as I am. Then I talk to some of the other guys who have been effectively silenced by the new system. They're all on board. But I know that if it's just a group of high-privilege men complaining, we'll be dismissed as fragile and resistant to change. I need more people. I need Chloe. I catch her in the kitchen one afternoon when no one else is around. Chloe, can I talk to you for a second? She nods, her expression wary. I take a deep breath. I'm going to challenge this identity point system, I say, my voice low and steady. I think it's discriminatory and it's destroying our team, but I can't do it alone. I need your help. She looks at me for a long moment, her dark eyes searching my face. I can see the conflict in her expression. She knows I'm right, but she also knows the risk. Speaking out against a DEI initiative, especially as a woman of color, could be career suicide. Finally, she lets out a long sigh. You're right, she says, her voice barely a whisper. This whole thing is a disaster. It's not helping anyone. It's just making everything worse. She looks up at me, a new determination in her eyes. What do you need me to do? Together, Chloe and I start building our case. We work in secret, gathering evidence. We document every instance where the identity point system has led to a bad decision. We have the disastrous back-end project as our Exhibit A, but we also find other examples. Flawed marketing campaigns that were pushed through because they came from diverse voices, even though they were based on faulty data. Good ideas from experienced employees that were ignored. A general decline in productivity and morale across the board. We also start collecting anonymous testimonials from other employees. People are scared to speak out publicly, but they're willing to share their experiences without their names attached. We get stories from everyone: men who feel like they're being punished for their gender, women who feel like they're being tokenized, people of color who are tired of being treated like spokespeople for their entire race. The stories are heartbreaking and they paint a damning picture of Evelyn's system. It's not creating equity, it's creating a caste system. It's not fostering inclusion, it's breeding resentment and fear. After 2 weeks of careful preparation, we're ready. We schedule a meeting with David and the head of human resources, a woman named Linda. We book a conference room on a different floor to avoid suspicion. Chloe, Mark, and I walk into the room together, a united front. David looks surprised to see us. Linda just looks cautious. What's this all about? David asks, trying to sound cheerful. We have some serious concerns about the new DEI initiative, I say, my voice steady, even though my heart is pounding in my chest. I lay out our case calmly and professionally. I present the data we've collected, the evidence of the failed projects, the decline in morale. Chloe speaks next, her voice clear and strong. She talks about how the system is tokenizing and demeaning, how it's forcing people into boxes and creating a culture of suspicion. This isn't diversity, she says, her voice ringing with conviction. This is segregation. It's a system that judges people based on their immutable characteristics, not the content of their character or the quality of their work. And it's tearing this company apart. Mark adds his perspective as a senior employee who has been with the company for over a decade. He talks about how the collaborative spirit of the team has been destroyed, replaced by a new, ugly tribalism. David is squirming in his seat. He looks like he wants to be anywhere else in the world. Linda, on the other hand, is listening intently. Her expression is serious and she's taking copious notes. When we're finished, she looks at us for a long moment. I need to be honest with you, she says, her voice low. I've been hearing whispers about this. I've seen the metrics. Productivity is down and employee turnover is up. But I didn't understand the root cause until now. She turns to David. Did you vet this consultant, David? Did you do any due diligence on this identity point system? David stammers. Well, Evelyn came highly recommended. She's a thought leader. She's a charlatan, I say, my voice sharper than I intended. She's selling snake oil and it's poisoning this company. Linda nods slowly. I need to bring Evelyn in, she says. I need to hear her response to these allegations. A few minutes later, Evelyn walks into the conference room. She's smiling, confident as ever, but her smile falters when she sees the expressions on our faces. What's going on? She asks, her eyes darting between us. Linda doesn't mince words. She lays out our case, presenting the evidence of the system's failure. As Linda speaks, Evelyn's composure begins to crack. The confident, charismatic consultant disappears, replaced by a defensive, cornered ideologue. This is just resistance to change, she says, her voice rising. It's white fragility. They're just uncomfortable with having their privilege checked. She looks at me with a sneer. You're just afraid of losing your unearned advantage. Before I can respond, Chloe speaks up. Don't you dare, she says, her voice quiet but filled with a cold fury. Don't you dare try to use my identity to justify your discriminatory system. You don't speak for me, you don't speak for any of us. Evelyn seems genuinely shocked that Chloe, a black woman, is challenging her. It's like it doesn't compute in her worldview. But you have a low score, Evelyn stammers. This system is designed to help you. I don't need your help, Chloe says, her voice unwavering. I need a workplace where I'm judged on my skills and my contributions, not on a number you've assigned to me based on the color of my skin. This system is racist and it's sexist and it's creating more division than it's solving. Evelyn is panicking now. Her professional mask has completely crumbled. She launches into a tirade of buzzwords and accusations, but it's all just noise. She has no substantive response to our evidence. She can't defend her system on its merits, so she just attacks the people who are questioning it. It's a pathetic, desperate display. And in that moment, everyone in the room sees her for what she really is, a fraud. Linda holds up a hand, cutting Evelyn off mid-rant. That's enough, Evelyn, she says, her voice firm. Thank you for your time. Your services will no longer be required. Evelyn just stares at her, her mouth hanging open in disbelief. Then, without another word, she grabs her bag and storms out of the room. The silence she leaves behind is thick with relief. Linda turns to us. I am so sorry, she says, and she sounds like she genuinely means it. This never should have happened. We were so focused on the optics of DEI that we lost sight of the actual goal, to create a fair and inclusive workplace for everyone. She promises to scrap the identity point system immediately and to work with us to develop a new DEI strategy that is based on genuine respect, equality of opportunity, and collaboration. The next day, a company-wide email goes out. It announces the termination of Evelyn's contract and the immediate suspension of the identity point system. It includes a sincere apology for the divisive and counterproductive nature of the initiative. The sense of relief in the office is palpable. It's like a weight has been lifted from all of our shoulders. People are talking to each other again, smiling, collaborating. The old, friendly atmosphere is slowly starting to return. The healing process isn't instantaneous. There are still some lingering feelings of resentment and mistrust, but the shared experience of standing up to a flawed and unjust system has brought us closer together. My friendship with Chloe is stronger than ever. We went through the fire together and we came out the other side. The team starts to rebuild. We have a long way to go to undo the damage that was done, but we're on the right path. The disastrous back-end project is scrapped, and we start over using the original, well-designed solution that Mark and I had proposed. It's a lot of extra work, but we tackle it together as a team. Maya is a part of that effort, and we make sure to support her and mentor her. She's a talented young developer, and she blossoms in an environment where her ideas are judged on their merit, not her identity. A few weeks later, Linda calls me, Chloe, and Mark into her office. She tells us that the company is forming a new DEI council, and she wants the three of us to be on it. We need people who are willing to speak truth to power, she says, people who understand that true diversity is about more than just checking boxes. We all agree to join. It's a chance to build something positive, something that will actually make our workplace better for everyone. Looking back, I'm proud of what we did. It would have been so much easier to just keep my head down to stay silent. But I'm glad I didn't. I learned that you can't fight a bad idea with silence. You have to challenge it with a better one. And I learned that true allies don't see you as a collection of identity markers. They see you as a human being. The whole experience was a painful, stressful, and ultimately a necessary one. It forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our workplace. And in the end, it made us stronger, more united, and more committed to building a culture where everyone truly belongs. The path to genuine inclusion is not through division and resentment, but through mutual respect, open dialogue, and a shared commitment to excellence. It's a simple lesson, but it's one I'll never forget.